Good evening, beautiful people. I'm Desdemona. We bring you another chapter of the Mr. Trail Safety Ultra Theatre for your fragile, eggshell mind. This series is brought to you by D&L Holistic Industries, the makers of Trail Porn Light. Featuring new, improved mouthfeel and texture, now available in single-serve Tetra Packs.
And I'm Terrazzo. Tonight's episode is Looking for Kitty, featuring the Wasatch Front 100-mile endurance run. This is a scenic memoir, and may not resemble your race in many respects.
We were all looking for Kitty. This Kitty, and we the fortunate few. Over the course of time, space and electrolytic conversion, private ambitions were molded like sticky power bars into public objects. Sometimes art is not pretty.
With my triumphant 28-14 finish, all I got were whiffs of kitty farts. That trail was cold, but I cannot complain. In '93, my race ended in a 33-21 finish. I went home a happy, battered and fried badger.
We'll start with some basic facts. Projected times for miles 51 to 100 were accurate, the way Penthouse letters to the editor used to be. That is, wildly optimistic. Also, remember that your crew, who give up a weekend to watch and wait on your fortune and well-being, are few and far between. Cherish them.
The pre-race goes something like this. We landed in Salt Lake City and went through all the particular pre-race emotions, etc. We saw all of the happy faces. When it was over, I realized that next time I'll be flat on my back in a motel room channel surfing and eating takeout or box lunch at the Y. Doesn't roil my cheers much and saves the spunk for the main event.
The start and its considerable discontents.
Awake and hating it at 0300, the bus from Salt Lake dropped us off in the dark, somewhere amongst the Mac mansions in the foothills. We milled about, indiscreetly urinating in the bushes or pinching the last loaf. We started up the mountain in low, anonymous, shrubby brush. I joined the limbo line with 250 other supplicants. You'll have a great view of the ass in front of you. Wherever we really started from was forgotten by the time we scrabbled up Chin Twister, a vertical ski slope that suggested you fall not up and over into a stiff wind.
Hey, it's cold on top. My nipples are exceedingly perky.
Surprise. At 9 miles, somewhat before Francis Peak, my nipples were pretty gosh darn perky. Was it gonna rain? Yes, later. Did the sun come out? Yes. Were there people having way too much fun and going out too fast? Of course. The Wasatch is epic at running with forays into canyons to stall complacency. The entire course is littered with complacent expectations.
Now a few words about mile 25, which was bountiful B. Suffice to say it's still early, and you're not likely to have stepped on your dick.
After crawling out of one canyon or another from sessions, I skittered like a June bug over the tops of the convex peaks. I made my way into Big Mountain. The sun was shining on my face, but Mr. Thundercloud was preparing a feast, my friends, later in the day. At Big Mountain, you get to watch other people's race strategies fall apart. I watched friends 1 year swilling metabolol, which is bath sauce in a bottle. The Technicolor yawns began somewhat thereafter. Closing on Alexander Springs, I turned around and saw massive thunderheads collide with the Swallow Peaks aid station. I was glad that I didn't see pop-up canopies being blown off the side of the mountain.
Now a few words about mile 50, Lambs Canyon and approaches to Bear Ass Pass, and up Mill Creek Canyon.
I passed under Interstate 80 and noticed that the dead sheep hider key was still adorning the roadside. It brought back in a fragrant rush all the wonderful training runs, when I was merely a shuffler, pounding out miles up and over Barras Pass. Dropping down the other side, there is a leisurely ascent up to the Mill Creek Trail head.
He said head. Cool. Mile 65. Let the good times roll.
Picture an alpine lake, a dramatic backdrop of astonishing peaks and tree-covered slopes. Picture a campfire burning warm and bright in the black night. See the comfy folding chair by the fire. Now picture yourself curling up and going to sleep on the coals. Kids, don't try this at home. The cheap fun quit about 15 miles ago. Things are looking serious. But then I was on Red Lover's Ridge, overlooking Park City, and wondering if California girls are really made in Utah and reassembled in Hollywood.
Mile 73. Are we having fun yet?
What a question to ask at 73 miles. Those nano-necrotic sleep episodes going up Catherine Pass are hummers. Especially after sojourning briefly in Molly's or the Brighton store, where the full panoply and pathos of ultra-air running as we know it was on full display. Sense around nausea. Animated corpses. Living wills in action. An organ donor convention. These are the good old days, and nostalgia ain't what it used to be. Your pacer reminds you why you're there. You remember. Nothing. And out you go.
It's worse in the dark.
And Knowles and its vertical delights are not to be missed. I'm sorry, did you sleep through that section? My condolences, it must have been a dry year. By the time I got to Pole Line Pass, the hunters of cheetah were well within striking distance of the finish, a long ways further on. It's sobering, if your brain had the BTUs to process it.
Oh, you do go on about it, don't you?
When you were a child, demons lived under the bed. Well, you're an adult now, and demons are everywhere. In the warped rattles of your perception, they slither out of reach of your flashlight beam. Your ears are telling you things you'd just as soon not hear. Stimuli is amped, clamped. Whatever, now the trail is much narrower than when you ran it by day. How did that happen? Are we level or climbing? If I can't put my hand on it, then we're level. My form sucks in the dark, and this comic suffering takes longer. The shuffle is fixed. At least I'm not airborne, spitting out teeth like white beans.
Mile 93, so fucking what?
Your fun is not quite yet complete. Climb the wall for 1/2 mile, then a 5.5 mile drop down the dirt road. You now have a 2-mile blacktop spin to the waiting splatter zone, which is the finish line. Let's see if you remember anything from track workouts. You wished you were a marathoner, or at least played one in a running catalogue. Shit howdy. Those legs do expand, and the pace is quickened. You are a glowing red dot on the grid, and using telemetry you find your way to the finish line. Now I am a legend in my own mind, which is not the one I started with. It's just through a glass, Dorkly, and the reception is bad.
Mile 100, the post-race apocalypse. Picture a sea of filthy, badly dressed, delirious homeless people wearing race numbers and really dopey style sensibilities. They all smell like ass. So, there you have it. This presentation has been brought to you courtesy of D&L Holistic Industries, Dr. Casino Bingo, and Offshore Vacuum Party Ltd. Repaid legal services provided by Bucky Cabal III. Music provided by North Shore Slut. Production services by the Assist Teams. If you feel abused, you will adjust. Thank you, and good night.